There's a piece of music so haunting, so unholy, they say it was never meant to be heard by human ears, because it wasn't written by one. They call it the devil's Antiphon. Would you dare to listen? There's a piece of music so haunting, so unholy, they say it was never meant to be heard by human ears, because it wasn't written by one. They call it the devil's Antiphon. Would you dare to listen? Now imagine this. A monk, deep in an ancient monastery, claims he received a melody in a dream. He wakes up trembling, feverish, and writes it down before dawn. The sheet is filled with notes that don't follow any known scale. And the lyrics? They're in broken Latin, mixed with a language no scholar can translate. He plays it once, the candles blow out, the bells ring by themselves, and then silence. Weeks later, the monk vanishes. No sign of struggle, just the sheet music left behind. That melody was never played again, at least not publicly. This isn't just another campfire story. Whispers of the devil's Antiphon have surfaced across centuries, in monasteries, private collections, and even on the darker corners of the internet. So, what is it? A forgotten ritual? A cursed composition? Or just a myth too powerful to die? In this video, we're going deep into the myth, the music, and the madness behind the legend of the devil's Antiphon. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might change the way you think about sound forever. So what exactly is an antiphon? In its most basic form, an antiphon is a short chant, often sung in Christian liturgy. It's usually a call and response between a priest and a choir, something ancient, solemn, and deeply spiritual. These chants date back to the early centuries of the Church and were believed to bring people closer to the divine. But what happens when something sacred is twisted? The devil's Antiphon flips everything the traditional antiphon stands for. Instead of leading souls toward light and peace, this one supposedly pulls them into darkness, both mentally and spiritually. It's not a song of praise, it's a song of invitation, an invitation to something ancient, something cold, and something that listens when it shouldn't. The very name carries weight. It suggests a response, but not from a congregation or a choir, from something else, something watching, something waiting to answer back. Legends say this antiphon doesn't just echo through churches, it echoes through the mind. It burrows in slowly. First, you hum it without realizing. Then, you start hearing it in silence. And finally, you understand. It was never just music. It was a message. And you were never supposed to hear it. Why is it called the devil's Antiphon? Because some believe it wasn't composed, it was received. Not from God, but from the exact opposite. As if someone, or something, gave us a sound we were never meant to repeat. A ritual disguised as a melody. And for centuries, those who tried to study it, sing it, or even write about it, either disappeared, went mad, or begged to have their memories erased. Still think it's just a myth? Music has always held power. It comforts us, moves us, brings people together. But in the wrong hands, it can do the opposite. Throughout history, certain melodies and sounds have been considered forbidden, not because they were loud or offensive, but because they were believed to carry something darker. Take the tritone, for example, a musical interval once known as diabolus in musica, or the devil in music. In the Middle Ages, church authorities believed it was too unsettling, too unstable. Some even claimed it could summon demonic energy if repeated in certain ways. It wasn't just dissonant, it was dangerous. Then there's the Dies Irae, a Latin chant about judgment and death. It appears in hundreds of classical compositions, horror films, and even modern video games. Once you recognize it, you'll hear it everywhere. Composers have used it for centuries to evoke unease and the idea of looming doom. But that's just the surface. There are whispers of entire compositions that were banned, hidden, or destroyed because of what happened when they were played. Pieces said to cause hallucinations, nightmares, or sudden fits of insanity. One story tells of a violinist in 18th century Italy who claimed he didn't write his masterpiece. He dreamed it, performed it once, and never picked up the instrument again. Even the Catholic Church kept tight control over sacred music for centuries, afraid that certain combinations of words and sound could accidentally open doors best left shut. Sound, after all, is vibration. Vibration is energy. And energy, when shaped the right way, can do things most people don't understand. So when people hear about the devil's Antiphon, they brush it off as just another scary story. But history shows us that music has always been more than entertainment. It's been a tool, a weapon, a ritual. What if this piece, this so-called Antiphon, is just one of many? What if there are others, buried in old hymnals, scratched into walls, or hidden behind reversed audio files online? And most chilling of all, what if someone, right now, is trying to recreate it? Legends don't usually come from nowhere. They grow, evolve, and embed themselves into culture, sometimes based on a shred of truth, other times on pure fear. The devil's Antiphon is one such legend, whispered in the corridors of old monasteries and among secret societies. The story goes like this. In the 13th century, a monk named Brother Alaric lived in a remote monastery deep in the mountains. He was known for his devotion and beautiful voice, but also for strange visions he claimed to receive at night. One evening, after a long vigil, Brother Alaric said he was visited by a shadowy figure, neither entirely human nor fully spirit. This figure presented him with a melody, telling him to write it down and sing it only once, or terrible consequences would follow. Against all warnings, curiosity got the better of him. He composed what would come to be called the devil's Antiphon, a chant unlike anything heard before. Its notes twisted and turned in unnatural ways, and the lyrics seemed to shift depending on who listened. Some said it was a prayer, others swore it was a curse. When Brother Alaric's choir performed the chant, witnesses say the air turned cold, the candles flickered wildly, and shadows gathered at the edges of the chapel. Choir members began to disappear one by one, vanishing without a trace. Eventually, the monastery was abandoned, left to crumble and be forgotten by most, but not by all. Fragments of the chant survived, passed down secretly by those who feared its power but could not destroy it. Some say the monks hid the original sheet music in a vault, guarded by cryptic symbols and locked with ancient curses. Over the centuries, people who claimed to have heard or seen the chant described it as unnatural. The music itself was alive, almost sentient. It would invade dreams, whisper secrets, and even mimic voices of lost loved ones. Scholars who attempted to study these fragments often suffered from severe headaches, insomnia, or madness. A few reportedly took their own lives, unable to escape the haunting sounds replaying in their minds. Skeptics dismiss this all as folklore, a medieval ghost story meant to scare monks into obedience. But what's harder to explain are the strange recordings that have surfaced in recent decades, distorted, barely audible, yet unmistakably echoing parts of the devil's Antiphon. Is it possible that this ancient chant survived centuries, morphing and adapting, waiting for someone to unlock its full power? Or is it just the mind playing tricks on those who seek forbidden knowledge? Either way, the myth of the devil's Antiphon continues to chill those who dare to listen. Stories like the Devil's Antiphon don't exist in a vacuum. Throughout history, people have reported encounters with music that seems to go beyond art, music that changes minds, warps reality, or even invites darkness in. One famous example is the idea of backmasking, hidden messages supposedly buried backwards in popular songs. Bands like Led Zeppelin and the Beatles have been accused of slipping secret, sometimes sinister, phrases into their music when played in reverse. While many of these claims were debunked as coincidences or hoaxes, the fear they inspired says something deeper. That sound itself can carry hidden power. That beneath the surface, music might be more than we hear. Then there are the urban legends about cursed records and tapes. Take the story of a vinyl record called The Devil's Melody. Said to have been produced in the 1960s, it was rumored to cause listeners to experience nightmares, unexplained injuries, or even vanish. Though no verified copy exists, the legend persists online and in collector circles. On the darker end of history, some scholars talk about the Codex Gigas, a massive medieval manuscript also known as the Devil's Bible. Inside are strange illustrations and mysterious text. While it's not music, it represents the kind of occult artifacts that people associate with forbidden knowledge, much like the myth of the Devil's Antiphon. Even in modern times, mysterious recordings have surfaced on the internet. Distorted chants, eerie whispers, and sounds that glitch and loop in ways that feel unnatural. Some claim these are fragments of lost chants or experimental recreations of ancient forbidden music. YouTube and social media have given rise to a new generation of sound hunters, people digging through old archives, cassette tapes, and digital files, searching for traces of these lost melodies. One of the most chilling examples comes from a Reddit thread where users described listening to a strange, barely audible chant that triggered vivid hallucinations and intense fear. Whether it was a viral prank or something more, the accounts show how sound can tap into our deepest fears. All these stories, legends, and recordings might be disconnected, but they share a common thread. The idea that some music isn't just notes and rhythms, but a doorway that can open into darkness if you're not careful. So when you hear whispers about the Devil's Antiphon, remember, many who seek it don't just want to hear a song. They want to unlock a secret. But some secrets are better left unheard. Why do stories like the Devil's Antiphon never really go away? Why do they keep resurfacing, generation after generation, despite warnings, skepticism, and even outright debunking? The answer lies deep in how we, as humans, understand sound, fear, and the unknown. Sound isn't just noise, it's vibration that moves through the air, but also through our bodies and minds. Certain frequencies can calm us, like a lullaby. Others can stir anxiety or panic. This is science. But beyond that, sound has always carried symbolic meaning. Since ancient times, music was seen as a bridge between the human and the divine, a way to communicate with spirits, gods, or forces beyond our understanding. When music is associated with the sacred, the profane isn't far behind. This clash creates fertile ground for legends like the Devil's Antiphon, stories that warn us about crossing invisible lines. The idea that sound itself can open doors to darkness taps into a primal fear of losing control. But there's another reason these stories stick: the power of suggestion. If someone tells you a melody is cursed or dangerous, your mind starts looking for clues. Every odd sound, every chill down your spine becomes proof. This is called the placebo effect, or sometimes the nocebo effect, where negative expectations cause real reactions. Combine that with the mystery of ancient languages, unfamiliar sounds, and secretive rituals, and you get a perfect storm. People want to believe these stories because they tap into universal themes: temptation, forbidden knowledge, and the battle between good and evil. Even skeptics find themselves caught up in the mystery because the devil's Antiphon challenges something fundamental: our understanding of reality. Are we just hearing random noise? Or is there really something lurking in those twisted notes, waiting to be heard? And that question is exactly why this story keeps coming back. It reminds us that sometimes the most dangerous things aren't monsters hiding under the bed. They're the stories we tell ourselves about what we might hear. Even though the devil's Antiphon is an ancient legend, it hasn't stayed buried in the past. Instead, it's found new life in modern culture, in ways both subtle and surprising. Today, artists, musicians, and creators are fascinated by the idea of forbidden sounds and hidden messages. Some experiment with dissonant tones, backwards audio, and eerie chants in music, hoping to capture that same unsettling feeling the devil's Antiphon inspired centuries ago. Indie games and horror films have also picked up on the legend. You might have seen cryptic soundtracks that use distorted vocals or strange chants to create an atmosphere of dread. These modern works don't just scare us. They connect us to an old primal fear of something lurking just beyond our hearing. Even in the world of online mysteries, or what some call ARGs, alternate reality games, the myth plays a role. Creators hide secret audio clips or puzzles inspired by the devil's Antiphon, inviting players to uncover pieces of an ancient curse through sound. Some experimental musicians have gone further, trying to recreate or imagine what the original chant might have sounded like, using old manuscripts and modern technology. These attempts bring new questions. Can we truly revive something that might be better left silent? Or does hearing it change the way we experience sound forever? And there's the internet itself, a vast, wild place where audiophiles, myths, and legends can spread faster than ever. Videos claiming to feature fragments of the chant gather thousands of views, with listeners reporting strange sensations, chills, or a lingering sense of unease. Whether fact or fiction, the devil's Antiphon remains a source of inspiration and a warning that some sounds are more than just noise. They are stories, emotions, and maybe something darker. So next time you hear an eerie melody or a strange chant online, ask yourself, is this just music? Or is it an echo from a time when sound was a gateway to something we can't fully understand? After centuries of whispers, legends, and fragmented recordings, the devil's Antiphon remains a mystery, an unfinished story with no clear ending. No one knows who really composed it, or if it was ever truly performed beyond those ancient walls. There's no final, complete version that historians or musicians can agree on. Some say the original sheet music was destroyed, locked away, or lost to time forever. Others believe it was never meant to be found, that it's a secret kept by those who understand its power. What makes this mystery even stranger is how it keeps evolving. Every few years, a new story pops up. A scholar disappears, a strange recording surfaces, or an online user claims to have heard the chant in a dream. Is this just coincidence, or something more? Maybe the devil's Antiphon isn't a single song or melody. Maybe it's a collective fear, a symbol of the unknown, of forbidden knowledge that tempts us but warns us to stay away. Or maybe, just maybe, it's still out there, waiting for the right voice to sing it again. The real question is, if you found it, if you heard it, would you dare to listen all the way through? And what would happen if you did? Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Some sounds aren't meant to be heard. and some stories don't end, they just echo forever. If this story sent chills down your spine or made you wonder about the power of sound, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want to dive deeper into mysteries like this, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a journey into the unknown. Have you ever experienced something unexplainable linked to music or sound? Share your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think about the devil's antiphon. Remember, some secrets are waiting to be uncovered, but others are waiting to be left alone. Thanks for watching, and until next time, listen closely. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.